Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Scott Winkles. I'm one of your league lobbyists, and I will be going through the legislative call for today. Joining me today from the league's lobby team, we have Greg Miller, as well as Michael Martin, as our panelists. We are at the end of the second week of the short session. This has been a fairly frantic time. The week has been complicated. I think that's probably a nice way to put it for a lot of us. And there's still quite a bit more to do. We're going to cover a few topics, and we're going to get right into it with our action alert items. Let's go through the logistics first. You can submit a question anytime during the chat, and we will do our best to call on you. I'll be presenting, but Greg and Michael and other LOC staff that might be on the call will be monitoring that chat. And again, always we do prioritize questions from our members first. As I said, we're at February 13th, one day from Oregon's birthday. We've already approached our first deadline. That started on Monday, and that was the deadline to post a work session on a bill. If a bill did not have a work session posted by then, it was not going to go forward. We had hoped for a calling of the bills, so we would have a better idea of what we were actually looking at for this session. A lot of things got posted and moved on and have been kept alive, which does some disturbing things for your lobby team's workload. However, the 16th, this is going to be a pivotal day coming Monday, and that is the first chamber deadline. And so a bill by Monday at midnight, a bill must have moved out of its committee of origin. It does not have to have passed the floor, but it does have to get out of its first committee. There are some exceptions to that. Three committees do not have deadlines. They are the Rules Committee, Revenue, and the Ways and Means, the Budget Committee. Those committees will work right up until the end of the session. By Friday of next week when we have this call, we will have we'll have an additional deadline. It says the post work session deadline there. I believe that is an error, and we'll have to take a look at that. But I think that will actually it'll have to be to the floor by the 20th. That's where we are in the middle of session. Again, it was a busy, frantic week, lots of things flying around, lots of fiscal impacts, lots of amendments. I don't envy legislative counsel their job having to draft all of those. But that's where we are. For the league's portfolio this week, we had quite a bit of activity. We're going to start with our action alert slide, and this is our transient lodging tax. This is House Bill 4148. 4148 would allow cities who have a transient lodging tax or were to impose a transient lodging tax. That's if it was passed after 2003, to use 60% of that revenue for public services, and 40% of that revenue would go to tourism promotion. The current split for those post 2003 taxes is 70% must be spent on tourism promotion. 30% is allowed to be used for local government services. That system has left cities and taxpayers and residents picking up the tab for their tourist populations. And so we are looking for that change. We had an excellent hearing this week, a lot of really great city testimony. Mayor Keebler from Bend did a fine job, as we had police chiefs, sheriffs, others who got up and either submitted in writing and made the case. I think the hearing was terrific. I think, I might be biased, but I think we won that hearing. We are working with the chair. We expect to see that bill posted. A couple of amendments to be made um, to be made that will not adjust the amendments won't adjust the split, but they would require the or legislative revenue office to do a study a few years down the road, and the chair is intending to amend the bill to allow that money in that 40% tourism promotion split to be used for individual grants to small businesses. And so that was sort of uh, uh, that is the sort of how she's addressing the concerns of the committee. The picture on the left of the screen, I just love this. The tourism industry, Oregon Restaurant and Lodging Association, and I believe some other associations did a reception this week at the Salem Convention Center. That's where we have our conference when it's in Salem and our receptions. And they had robots serving bussing tables, and I believe they were passing around hors d'oeuvres as well. I wasn't there. I thought it would be weird for me to go after we'd just gone toe to toe with them the night before, but they had robots doing the work, and you can see I believe what I heard was it was a legislator who put a sticker on the robot that said "Save Tourism Jobs." So while campaigning to save tourism jobs, they hired robots to wait the tables. Certainly not the messaging I would have done. Everything we do in this business is communication, and not great. So we are going to have a little fun from that. If you have not reached out to your legislators on this issue, please do so presently. We know we have members working hard. We're confident in our vote count, but the opposition is working hard too. And we've sent out an alert. We've got a link to the information on this website. If you have not talked to your legislators, both of them, it's in the House, but we want to start working on the Senate as well. Please do so now. And do we have questions in the chat on that? No. Okay. So moving on. We've got hearings posted for our ethics package next week. So we have three bills I'll call your attention to. The first is 4161. This bill resolves what we call the hot dog opinion from the OGEC. A city was going to serve hot dogs at a team building event. They went to get pre-clearance from the OGEC, as a lot of people do if they're going to just to provide themselves some cover, to make sure everything they're doing is okay. I think the belief of the city was they would just simply get the permission to provide the hot dogs. The OGEC did something surprising and said that if for a public official, and for a public official in OGEC context, we're talking about elected officials, employees, volunteers, and some contractors, for them to receive food from their employer for the agency they serve, that would be a prohibited use of office unless it was in a official compensation package. The league argued against this opinion. We asked the commission to overrule the staff. We did not win. So we do have a bill to fix it. That bill is up Tuesday morning. We also have Bill 4177. This is the big one. This is the bill that will make some progress and clarify the serial meeting standards. So as you're all aware, we've had this longstanding issue with the with serial meetings and ethics exposure. If a quorum were to develop or have city leaders, city councilors facing complaints because maybe somebody didn't think the minutes were right, or somebody didn't think the public notices were done properly. We've had city leaders, city officials brought up before the OGEC. We're going to address all of that. And then 4159, this is I think will provide us with some really long-term benefits. Right now, the OGEC is made up of appointees from the governor, and then each one of the legislative caucuses is allowed to recommend appointments to the governor. This bill would require that the governor's appointment have local government experience. And having worked on OGEC related issues for about 20 years, I would say we have a much better time with the OGEC when we have strong local government people on that commission. And so adding those officials, an official there should help a lot of our challenges that we've experienced lately. Making progress. I think 4177 has garnered some opposition, but we think we're in good shape on that bill, although it does need a technical amendment. So, questions on OGEC? Great. And that I am turning this over to for a transportation update. The big one I'm going to call attention. Greg, were you doing this one? Okay, I got it. The big news last night in transportation, 1599. This is the bill that would move the transportation package referral to the May ballot as opposed to the November. Did make it out of committee. It is a Senate bill. It goes to the Senate floor first. It goes and then will go directly to the House. It came out of a joint committee. Uh, I'm not sure we know how this is going to play out. I can assure you that there will be politics. What those politics look like remain to be seen, but this is a very controversial move inside the building, and we expect to see some. I'm not sure this will sail through smoothly, but it is heading to both floors. We did see, excuse me. We also saw action on, I'm looking, the Waymo bill. I'm sorry, 4085. This bill deals with autonomous vehicles. That bill's not going to go forward this session. It's going to get work grouped and come back into the long session, which it's probably the best place for it, as that is a very complicated issue from my understanding. Senate Bill 1507. This will be the disconnect conversation. This bill, we expect it. There's a plan on this bill. I think it's coming out. It's not necessarily a bill that directly impacts cities, but it is going to influence how the rest of the session progresses as well. So that's going to be that's sort of a bill we're watching as just to understand what the tone of the Capitol is going to be for the rest of the session. Okay, and with this, I am turning this over to Greg.
Thank you, Scott. There is I do see one question in the chat. There's a -13 amendment for House Bill 4007. So I'll go on with my update, and if one of the other league lobbyists want to look at that, we can get back to that one. So thanks for that question there, Kevin. Thank you, Scott. Good afternoon, everybody. Greg Miller, league lobbyist. Wanted to talk a little bit about our general government bills that were up this week. Senate Bill 1566 added clarity to the current exemptions to prevailing wage law as it relates to affordable housing. The bill included several components specific to cities that related to site work, not triggering prevailing wage, infrastructure, not triggering prevailing wage, in some of the instances where we're trying to move land around to build housing. We put forth, and housing advocates put forth, very good and compelling arguments on this. Unfortunately, just the labor presence and the labor opposition to this was too much, and the bill died in committee. We're thankful to Senator Anderson and Representative Breeze Iverson for bringing the bill forward and look forward to continue working on this. Senate Bill 1593 validates liability waivers in the state of Oregon. That bill is being sponsored by Senator Mark Meek, and that moved unanimously out of committee this week with a referral to the Rules Committee. This bill is competing with Senator Floyd Przansky's Senate Bill 1517 that deals with liability waivers, but only in the world of skiing. So the applicability statewide is very minimal to the relief that we're looking for in being able to use waivers. Back one slide. Thanks. So that bill has been moved to rules. This looks like it could be a repeat from last session. I don't want to project that image, but last session the bill died on the Senate President's desk. This year with competing bills and the fact that the caucuses haven't seemingly caucused on these yet, a good indication that there's not strong support to bring a bill to the floor. House Bill 4089 would have added a significant broad group of individuals under the wage theft law. The bill was focused on people using their construction contractors board license reputably, and then working with their subcontractors in a reputable way and paying what they owe. The bill brought in cities, have been working with proponents of the bill, have had one round of amendments with them that was a good start, and the second round of amendments that we got word on today seemed to get us completely removed from the bill and not affected by any of the provisions we'd be required to do. Okay, Scott, next question. Oh, we have a question in the chat. 1593 rules back to judiciary. No, I don't believe so, Mayor Keebler. The judiciary referral was rescinded for the rules referral. So it'll go to that committee and sit there until the end of session or until they decide to act on it. Thank you for that. The next bill I want to highlight on this slide is House Bill 4055. This original bill would have mandated a report to the state CIO's office after a cybersecurity incident. LOC registered significant concerns with the process by which we would be required to report to the state CIO. Had good success in amending the bill down to a simple notification to the state, but there were still definitions in the bill that would have required this on a more frequent basis than the proponents were hoping for. The broad definition would have included issues other than cybersecurity issues when a loss of service was provided or loss of service was experienced. And it was just the way it was written was way too broad. And the fact that it died in committee today, LOC is committed to working with the proponents in the interim on a notification bill that we can support in the 2027 session. The next bills on the list here are really bills we tracked, not specific to impact to cities, but on the energy bills, the Forge Act and dispersed power plants. The hope there is that in a tertiary kind of secondary sense, we can add some grid resilience to local communities. And then the final two bills on the list just deal with potential issues that we would see coming in the future that we're just trying to track now. I'll look at the chat real quick. I don't see any more questions, but if you do have questions going forward, feel free to reach out to me. Always happy to talk and see how I can help.
Okay, thank you very much, Greg. We do have some housing some housing bills to talk about. Unfortunately, Alexander Ring, our lobbyist, is not able to be on the call today. As I said, this has been a difficult week, and the catch-up time we are used to on Fridays is not something we are experiencing this time. So she's not able to attend. We are looking, if you have questions on these bills, we're happy to address those in the chat or follow up later. Simply just contact one of our lobbyists. Michael, do you want to talk water and recycling?
Yes.
Oh, and grants.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. So have a brief update for you. The Water Professionals Appreciation Week bill is cruising through, and it was voted out of the House with only one no vote. We just heard from Senate committee staff after the bill transferred to the Senate that we are likely to have a hearing this coming Tuesday. Now, again, this is just establishing a Water Professionals Appreciation Week. I want to say, big picture, obviously one of the least controversial bills this session, but very important in terms of thinking it as a way to frame conversations with your legislator as that comes up. So we don't anticipate any problems. Although, if you recall, Scott did say, the 1599 decision was very controversial inside the building, and there will be politics involved. So, but hopefully this bill can move out of the Senate committee quickly and get a vote. The second bill I want to address, and I see a question actually in the chat about it. Thank you, Councilor Cowie. 1580 Senate Bill 1585 is a grant matching reduction for cities, and it's tiered based on population. Originally, this bill got a lot of interest last session, and Senator Manning wanted to bring, who was one of the co-chief sponsors, wanted to bring this back. And initially, it was very broad, so it would be to all infrastructure programs. But as we move through negotiations and working on the bill and having conversations with other stakeholders, the bill was narrowed down to 7 programs. One of them is the local government grant program, which would impact parks. Very important to City of Chiloquin, as I can see from the chat. So we are anticipating a work session. This will be voted out of the Senate Commerce and General Government Committee on Monday. That is the last day for it to happen. At this point, the chair's okay with it, and the chief sponsor has indicated there shouldn't be any issues, but continue to watch that. And last on the update that I want to provide is there's 2 parts to this bill, but effectively, what I've heard from a lot of our members who've reached out about it is the costs of recycling won't go away if the RMA is undermined. So there's sort of 2 things moving simultaneously here. Our attorneys here at the League briefed us on a case last Friday that effectively put a preliminary injunction for members of the National Association of Wholesale Distributors, which would paused parts of the RMA until that case works through. So I think they might be meeting in July. But this House bill really would have made that pause happen earlier. And so there was a lot of, initially the base bill was very narrowly focused to berry packaging, but there were subsequent amendments that would have effectively paused collection of the fees that then go to pay for investments that our members have made, recycling. So this bill, we had a lot of opposition on the record, and the bill was just moved to the House rules. So again, as Scott said at the top, the bill's still alive. I think it ties into some of the broader conversations of, what we're hearing. We want to be business friendly in Oregon, deregulation, that sort of thing. But, we've emphasized, at least with this bill, for us specifically, that and our members, the costs of recycling do not go away. And we want to make sure that that's not done on the backs of ratepayers. And overall, we are supportive of keeping those very technical questions on the Recycling Modernization Act in rule. So we'll be watching this one and keep you updated next week. So thank you. Thank you, Scott.
All right. Thank you, Michael. With that, we are going to open it up for questions. And I see.
Hey Scott, there's one in the chat for Michael about grant matching programs for small districts too, small special districts.
Yeah, Michael, do you want to take that?
Yeah, happy to. So this narrowly applied the Senate Bill 1585 and the -2 amendments. It is narrowly applied to cities. A little more context on that. We had discussions with the the sponsor of this bill. I asked directly if they wanted to include counties and special districts in this, and we're at this juncture, they wanted to just narrowly include cities. Um, with subsequent conversations that we have with our stakeholders, um, the counties have remained neutral on the bill and really predicated on the fact that we want to, if this works effectively, sort of like a pilot, that it would be open to other local governments as well. So hope that helps. Thanks for the question.
Scott, can I go real quick?
Sure.
I forgot to thank some very important people this week. Cities engaged and provided some super valuable feedback on 4055, the cybersecurity bill, and also 1566, the prevailing wage bill on housing. So Rob Cowie or Rob Corbett specifically, you sat on that meeting for a couple hours and didn't get to testify, but thank you so much for making the time and everybody for the feedback that you provided this week.
Great. So, any additional questions? Greg, Michael, Kevin, am I missing anything?
Not from what I can see, Scott.
Oh, what items are important to include in a written statement? And so, I'll answer this live. I would say, I mean, you want it to be concise. That's helpful, especially if if your written statement on a bill. Um, if the written statement on the bill is on something where there's a lot of testimony, and a lot of legislators either directly or through their staff will review testimony if they're undecided on a bill. So you do need to make it punchy, hidden and hit hard. Say right up front in the first paragraph, I'm writing to support, I'm writing to oppose this bill. I would do one or two paragraphs as to why. And then I always encourage our members in that last paragraph, in their closing paragraph, is to include, tell your story. It's like, this is what the bill does to my city. This is what the bill gives to my city. This is the impact on my city. That is the part that we always want to see our members include in a written statement on a bill. If you're submitting for testimony, if you're writing for media or an op-ed, that is a I would defer that answer to Kevin. But for legislative purposes, I try to keep it to 4 paragraphs. The first one's telling them what we want. Second is why, and the second 2 are why, and the last one is the city story. I hope that answers the question.
Scott, we have another one on law enforcement masking, SJR 203.
Oh, SJR 203. I'm not sure what the prognosis of SJR 203 is. That would be a constitutional amendment. The conversations around masking, I think that's going to be in House Bill 4137. That bill is getting amended significantly on Monday. And it will prohibit masking, and then make some uniform requirements mandatory. The uniform requirements for cities, we don't assess those to be of significant impact or any impact to city police departments. city police department. It'll require a patch on the shoulder indicating the agency. That's something that happens, a name tag or identifiable number. And then they have some exemptions for detectives, undercover officers, or if they're in some sort of a utility uniform. The we expect that bill to come out Monday. If the amendments aren't ready, I would expect maybe it'll go to rules, but that's my read at the moment. The constitutional amendment, I haven't heard that. I'm not sure that's going to apply. I think the reason they're doing this because masking isn't something local law enforcement does, except for in some unusual circumstances that the bill addresses and allows. But if the belief is that if the state wants to require all law enforcement, federal law enforcement officers as well to unmask, it has to apply the same requirement to themselves. So that's why that's moving forward. A lot of concern about masked, ununiformed law enforcement activities in the state and across the country right now. Yeah. So I saw a red dot. Okay. Oh, well, I'm glad that answered that you approved of that answer, Lisa. So I do enjoy when I get it right. It does happen from time to time. The other questions? Oh, okay then. I'm going to go to our last slide, and this is our contact slide. This is your lobby team. Nicole's not able to be here today. She was in a regional meeting in Albany. Alexandra Ring also not able to attend day due to legislative commitments. You see Greg, there's his contact as well. Michael, who you heard from, and of course me. We are all happy to you have a question about a bill, happy to reach out. Please understand that our calendars are packed. I was tempted to show one of our calendars with the lines with dozens of meetings scheduled in the same time slot to explain sort of the what we're looking at in the bill wise, but we will get back to you as soon as we are able. And that's where we're at. And we look forward to seeing you next week. I think next week is going to be could be interesting. Some might say exciting. Others might say complicating. But whatever happens, we will be here on Friday and report back to you. So I will do one last call for questions. Webinar work. Okay. I'm going to stop the share so I can see my screen. Okay, I see no questions. I wish you all a lovely weekend. And again, if you have not contacted your legislators on 4148, our TLT bill, we encourage you to do that this weekend. That's where we're at. Kevin, anything else we failed to cover?
Nope, I think you're good, Scott. Good job.
Okay. All right. Oh, wait, I see one. Oh, you're welcome. The question was thanks, and you're welcome. All right. Have a great weekend. I'm going to sign off.